All right, back to Factorio. Here we go on PAX, and today we're going to do just a little tour of the base. We've reached a point where I think the base is going to go through a new iteration, and this is sort of like a good kind of stopping point to kind of just enjoy the base as it is in this stage and remember, the history of the base and catch anyone up who wants to continue the playthrough with us. So we started around here, down here-ish. The spaceship used to be right here. And, this was our first coal. We still have a little bit of, well, no. The coal is still there, but none of the miners are mining. So there's a little bit of coal we didn't get underneath the rails. This was our starter copper, and our starter iron was over here as well, and we pretty much mined it all out. We had our red base built in here, and then, this was our first power plant, and we were defending from the biters coming from down here very early on. And then we went ahead and built the green science base, which was pretty much this square. This was like our original hub for building all the buildings we need, and it's since been deleted, but green and red science were here, and there were some labs here. We had to deal with this copper being in the way a bit, and then we ended up not even mining it all out, so now it's just kind of stuck here, but it's just a little bit of copper. And then once we had the green base set up, we finally were able to build the car bus. And so we started off building the car bus, where we would have these smelters, which were replaced now, but this used to be our original smelting array with a couple of lanes of iron and a lane of copper and a couple lanes of steel. And our very first thing we set up with the car bus was military science, and then we got our military science going. That just fed back and sent the military science to the labs back then, and yeah, we just continued to build up the bus. The car bus then just, we used, again, just sort of this master template of the cars to store all the items on the bus. And again, this template is really designed for the end game, but it has more than enough throughput for getting us all the way through the end game. It's designed for a megabase. And so every car has one of these filters, and they just bring it all the way around the bus, and then anytime we want to add something to the cars, we just create one of these little stations, and if we need a lot of throughput, then we have these little pauses on the bus, and then this is all regulated by this master clock. So this is a simple clock circuit where you have this decider combinator feeding back on itself, and so it just counts up until it gets to a certain number, which you can set pretty easily. So this will reset every 2 seconds, since there's 60 cycles per second, and these will just pause the cars and spread them out, and just make it easy to keep the cars coming at a certain pace. And then every time, and then we just use filter inserters to pull the items we want off the cars and send it into whatever production zones we want. So here we built, this early base, built tons of engines to build a lot of cars very early. And this still serves us even to now, just to give us some extra items. And then we built the very simple kind of early additions to the logistics hub, having red belt production, just adding it on right next to the cars. Just very simple way of directly inserting from the cars into production buildings. We raced up to chemical science. So then the next thing we built on the bus was actually these green circuits and these red circuits. So we built these up here, but now they've been expanded quite significantly. So then that got us green circuits on the bus, and eventually we built these more high throughput interfaces to the cars where, well, we're only getting 2 yellow lanes off of here now, which is not much to brag about, but eventually when we have the really high throughput items, we'll be able to support 2 blue lanes out of it like this. As well as we went down to the east over here to build our oil build. So originally we got some oil from down here, which it's still like going, but it's probably very minimal amount of oil coming out of here now. And we fed the oil into this oil build, which we just expanded a little bit with beacons and modules, but it's sort of pretty much the same now. And this allowed us to get plastic, get sulfuric acid, and then we built the red circuits. We were running out of electricity very early on, and so we didn't have very much coal, and the nearest coal was way up here, so we had to resort to some oil power before we got the train networks going. So this was like just built to build us this second power plant down here, which was all a solid fuel power plant, now completely decommissioned. And then we also sent some solid fuel onto the cars just to give us some fuel for trains. Yeah, and then once we had oil, we of course just wanted chemical science. We built a really quick battery build right here. And then finally we were able to build the bots. And of course, getting bots is always a huge milestone. So yeah, we had the chemical science coming in, and it was also feeding back originally into our labs over to the east a little bit. And then we put down this blueprint for utility science, but mostly just to build us the early robots. And so we used the utility science build to just build us some robots, and it's been building robots for quite some time. Once we got the robots, then it's finally time to start building like the serious train network. So we put down then the new and final form of the logistics hub, and so so this logistics hub we built also using cars on belts, and so we have this interface here where we're kind of pulling whatever items we need off the main line. A lot of really refined items, including belts and inserters, are on the main line. You know, LDS, engines. We pulled them off to build this logistics hub. And so again, it's we're using the cars on belts, and we have a different sort of set of filters. So here we have almost all of the main items for building, and all the belts, all the inserters, boxes, power poles, trains, fluids, robots, boxes, combinators, production buildings, literally almost everything you want in the game. Didn't go as far as putting the nuclear power plant buildings on there, but you know, other than that, this has been servicing us as our kind of logistics system, and then of course has like a lot of the intermediate parts you need to build things, like lots and lots of iron goes into the logistics hub, so there's extra slots for iron and gears. And then these like logistics cars go around and flow through these production systems where we have all the buildings building all the sort of logistics stuff that we want. You know, belts and inserters, buildings. You know, we got tanks, rails, you know, all the logistics boxes, roboports, bots, military things, concrete things. And then eventually, yeah, we put the Spidertron in here. I think I like the final form of having the Spidertron in this last little section. And then, of course, the nuclear power buildings as well are over here. And personal roboport things. But basically, yeah, these logistics cars kind of flow through these production buildings and feed them, and the production buildings, of course, put the items onto the logistics cars. So we're stock full of all this stuff, and then these logistics cars feed our logistics trains. And so we have multiple logistics trains that service the base. So this one on the right is for the nuclear fueling, or the nuclear power, I mean. So the uranium processing is going on over just to the right of the logistics mall, and we got lucky with having a giant uranium patch, like almost perfectly next to where we wanted to do our processing, so this was great. Originally I was going to bring it in by a train, so this was going to be our uranium train that just brought in, you know, one lane of uranium will service the entire game for sure. But we have like some modicum, I mean there's plenty of uranium, and then it just feeds into you know, some centrifuges, and we, you know, take the 238 and some piercing ammo to make uranium ammo, and uranium ammo has been our primary defensive tool. But then we got Covarex going now, we got uranium fuel, or nuclear fuel, and uranium fuel cells all being produced. And so this feeds then, yeah, our nuclear fuel train over here and our nuclear power train. And so the nuclear power train gets these fuel cells and takes them to the nuclear power plant. So yeah, before we got to the trains, we built this extra oil power out here. So we took this other patch of oil just to turn it into more electricity. But eventually we were able to get just a small, quote-unquote, small build of our nuclear power. So my strategy is usually to just landfill over a lake, and I have the blueprints, the landfill, and then of course there's holes in the landfill where you want to put the pumps, because doing the pipe logistics for nuclear power is really can be a pain, and so I find it easier to just have landfill and to just yeah, use these blueprints to have the landfill let you put down the water pumps wherever you want them. And so then, yeah, tons of nuclear power. You know, it's fed by the train. The train picks up the used up cells and feeds them back to get recycled. And basically, yeah, whatever the train needs from the logistics cars, it can pull off on this side. So all the pipes, inserters, combinators, belts, substations, robots, etc., etc. And then we use this little hacky thing to sometimes put the buildings on the trains. This other train is the wall train. So this goes and services the walls and creates the bunkers, carries out ammo to everything. So it has, yeah, lots of walls, lots of ammo, lots of gun turrets, repair packs, you know, those types of things. They're all controlled by this logic. So these set of combinators tell you kind of what you want to put on the train, and then basically what's happening is this logic is asking, you know, is what I want on the train, and is it available in these boxes? That's what this kind of part does. Is the train here is what this part does. And then if all those things are the case, it will set the filters and add items to the train. So this middle train we haven't really set up yet and used much, but this will be mostly for building the mega scale type of production that we're going to be doing soon. So this will have, you know, a lot more production buildings and beacons, and it will also carry modules and things like that, but hasn't been set up. And this is our mining and rail expansion train. So this train goes out to mostly our primary logistics stations. So they sort of look like this. So in our blueprint book, we have you know, a standard rail station where it has this logistics requester, and so this requests this mining outpost train, and the mining outpost train will come here and bring, whatever the network that these external networks need. So the roboport, right, networks are separated. So we have our primary kind of network just covering the main bus, the car bus, but then it's separated into multiple external networks. So these hexagons are covered by this kind of northern network, and each of these networks is fed by one of these logistics stations, which will request the trains when it needs items. And then we just kind of broken the network up in different places to separate it out. So I think right now, let's see, it looks like, yeah, all the northern part is one network, and all the way down through here, it's all one network. Then we've broken off the southern part, so there's breaks here and here and here just to separate out the network. So then we have another network to the south, and it's serviced by, a logistics station here, and another logistics station's over here. And so then the train just comes out to these different networks and supplies them with the items, and then they're separated so the bots don't have to fly as far. And sometimes the bots do silly things. Like we remember we had to separate this one out because the bots kept trying to cross this lake and got stuck in an infinite loop. And then, so then that's the primary role of the trains. And then there's one more train that's important, and this is the recycle train. And so again, at all of these stations, there's not just a logistics requester station, but there's also a recycling station and a refueling station. And so basically there's storage chests in at the recycling station, so whenever the bots clean up any wood or coal or stone, they'll bring it here. Or if I deconstruct a mine or something, or just want to do some tracks, the bots will just bring whatever they pick up into the storage system. And if there's enough stuff in the storage system, then it will open a station and request the recycle train. And then basically the recycle train will just bring everything it gets out from the external networks back here, and it'll just dump it onto these, another set of cars on belts, which just have no filters, but they're just here to sort all the stuff coming off the recycle train. So kind of goes into these cars, and if there's any wood or coal, it get pulled out into this section. And if there's anything else that might want to go back on the logistics network, it tries to pull it out over here and put it back onto the logistics cars. So basically replacing most of the functionality of logistics spots with the cars on belts. And then this is very important and useful. It's of course, when you're expanding and building, you'll pick up a lot of trees, you'll destroy a lot of coal rocks, and so you'll get a lot of wood and coal filling up your system. And basically then this little set of inserters is just it's saying if there's too much wood or too much coal in the system, then it will put it into this power plant. And so this power plant will just kind of burn off the excess wood and coal we get out from the external networks, and just delete them, turn them into electricity a bit. So then the base has gotten pretty big. So here's the maximum zoom. It's not too much from the maximum zoom, but really pushing out here, trying to just expand further so we can get more resources and scale up. Right now we're fed resources through the train system. So after we kind of got our starter resources, well, we had this extra iron out here, so this was our second iron mine. We just belted it back to our original base, and now we're just sort of trying to go through it as much as we can. And then after we built the train hub, we started building the train tracks, and then we built this just hexagonal grid system that's surrounding our main bus. And we started just going up here, getting this coal. So we have pretty standard coal mine, feeding 4 red lanes of coal, and we have then a pretty standard, which is now a pretty standard way of doing trains with the train limiter. And so basically what's happening is there's something measuring the amount of coal at the station, and this is saying, okay, how many trains could I load up? So it's putting out the L equals 7. 7 train loads are possible. But then there's this combinator setting the maximum 3. And then this logic just basically says, like, okay, what's the minimum number between L and M, and set that as a train limit. So then this will request maximum of 3. And then these lamps are great. These lamps help us tell what's happening. So right now it's basically saying, yeah, there's 3 train loads available or more, and there's this yellow lamp tells you that there's a train on the way. So the train just arrived. So as soon as it gets assigned to the station, you can tell, and then this yellow lamp comes on and tells you how many trains are assigned. So just this one. Now the train's gone. Now the yellow lamp is gone. No trains are coming. So that's the general idea of the train station. We got, this copper early on. This was our first copper mine. And again, we have the same system. This train has nowhere to go. Like sometimes we build, I have the logistics hub always in this, or the logistics sequester station in the blueprint, but don't always use it. So this one was turned off. It doesn't ask for the trains ever. And then the trains come in and supply these provider stations, which feed into the smelters. So pretty early on, we built this copper smelter, and we brought the coal in to, of course, fuel the smelter, as well as originally we were fueling the trains with this coal. But now all the nuclear fuel set up, and so then we bring in the ores via trains into the smelters, which feed into the cars. And then the smelter also does the stone bricks, and also has room to get some extra stone and coal onto the bus. And then we also eventually got this iron and stone on the train. So this was like our first set of iron and stone mines, and we quickly also built this one. So this was also like built right at the start. So getting us a good number of lanes of iron in. I think we have just one more mine now. Yeah, one more set of mines over here. One more set of copper mines over here. So we're doing okay. I mean, yeah, we have maybe, this is like maybe 2 lanes. Over here we're looking at maybe 6. Maybe, another 6 over here. So something like that. And right now we're eating, so this is 8 lanes of iron here. 4 more for this, and I think this is 4 more. So that's 16 total lanes of iron we're supplying. And then I think 12 total lanes of copper. But yeah, the base isn't really using all of it. But we're ramping the base up quite a bit, running all the sciences. You can see the oil's going pretty strong. And the main thing is also we're starting to build modules. So now we have modules coming somewhat slowly, but of course modules take a lot of your production. So a lot of our production is going into just feeding these modules, and so we've been expanding production in all sorts of ways, getting more greens. So here you can see the full glory of the interface. So we're pulling off now nearly 2 full blue lanes of iron ore and copper to feed this green circuit build. And so yeah, you can get pretty close to 2 full lanes if you use this 3-to-2 balancer setup. But you can't, yeah, and then yeah, you can easily get a full blue lane off the balancer, but not quite 2. So I have this split up. Yeah, so what else? Yeah, we have also then the defenses. So as we've been expanding, we've been building these bunker systems, and so they look a lot like, they're very similar to the other logistics stations. I ultimately decided that, like, yeah, the bunkers don't want the refueling system, so I originally had them, but I think having the fuel come to the bunker was a mistake, so I deleted the fuel system. They still have the recycle system, which is actually the most important thing for the bunker, because I'm often wanting to put a bunker down and then kind of delete it, remove it, and use it somewhere else, or just, you know, take, yeah, like a lot of these bunkers aren't necessary. And then, but in certain situations, yeah, the idea is like you can put the bunker down, and then from the bunker station just continue to build the wall. So this was one of the earliest bunkers we put down, because we were like really getting attacked a lot from this direction, and the pollution had like spread across the lake, and so everything was coming up and around the lake to attack us. And here comes another little horde. So we get attacked from this corner all the time. So we built a wall here very early on. And yeah, so then this bunker station / wall station can then be put down to like how build the wall, and just fill the wall with gun turrets and you know, roboports to repair and rebuild it. And it's all supplied by the wall station, which will bring new supplies as requested. And of course, then there's a spot for the artillery train. So yeah, I originally had even artillery cannons here, but I ended up just mostly dealing with the artillery train manually, because a lot of times I'm just wanting to use the remote firing anyway. And so yeah, artillery train's out here right now. Okay, basically the bunker station gets put down, and we use the train network, external network, to build the bunker station. And then often, yeah, usually then I'll disconnect the bunker. So I usually want the bunkers to have its own roboport network, especially because, you know, you want things to repair and not have to go very far. So disconnect the roboport network. And then the wall train comes, and the wall train allows us to then just build the rest of the bunker, get all the gun turrets down, get the walls down, provide the ammo. And then once, yeah, the wall train's ready, we've just been manually summoning the artillery train to then come out and, you know, help us clear out the worms and biters, mostly through using the remote targeting and just, you know, continuing to expand out like this. Yeah, and then so we've just been pushing out further and further, trying to claim more territory, to get more resources online, and and now we just finally then just built the last bit of technology to, yeah, or the last bit of builds to get the final tier of technology. So we got our blue circuits going, our LDS going, and then eventually built the last part of rocket control units over here. A build for solar panels and accumulators for satellites. And then, yeah, we kind of originally just launched a rocket over here, but now we have it set up a bit over here, where we can just like have good continual perpetual space science coming and feed into our final labs for space science. yeah, but then that's pretty much it for the base tour. It's been really fun using the cars on belts, and you can see, especially as a main bus, how powerful the cars on belts can be. And also, I think it's pretty useful as a logistics system, especially if you don't want to use the requester chests. But definitely like kind of a fun way of doing all the logistics and feeding logistics trains. And yeah, now we're just going to start tagging up to get a lot more mining productivity and start building the megabase. And so that's going to be the next stage of the playthrough, is really starting to build the megabase scale buildings and continuing to further use the cars on belts to exploit the mechanics of the games. And yeah, we still haven't even really gotten to the best part. But in the megabase stage, we'll definitely be having a nice train interface with direct train interface, kind of like this with the cars. But we'll be doing a lot more car to train direct interfacing soon. Okay, well there you go, Factorio. I'm Pax. See ya in the next video.